Let's talk about agents. No, not James Bond, not your talent agent, not your sports agent. In the AI world, agents are the latest, greatest thing.
Welcome to the Super Bowl 60 experience at my school.
I recently saw an example on the cutting edge of AI technology, a life-size 3D human agent in a box.
You explore, navigate.
These agents were on display during Super Bowl week at an event for sports fans. They are holograms in a glass case made by a company called LiveX AI. They could give you directions, answer trivia questions, help you take a selfie to make it seem like you were at the game. More on these a little later. There are agents that do not look human but have a lot of human-like characteristics. They can reason, they can plan, they can take actions on your behalf. We keep hearing here in San Francisco about folks who are programming their old computers to be their agents, their assistants. They're actually giving them their credit card information. They're giving them access to their laptops. What could go wrong? But also, what could go right? Tess Robinson, you are a tech startup founder and investor. This is your universe, the tech universe. And here at the center of that universe in San Francisco in the Bay Area, it's all the buzz. People talking about creating these agents to be their assistants. They're using old parts or old computers. Some of these agents have become somewhat autonomous.
Yeah, it's all the buzz. The most recent since about January is OpenClaw. Everyone is jumping in and creating whole agent workforces to execute their companies. I saw just a couple days ago, someone put out on X that they have been building for 30 days. They launched, and within 24 hours, they had already made about $600 in revenue. And it was all being run with AI agents.
So they've built their business around agents.
Yeah, exactly. So these agents, they're operating as employees or as people in your company. So they're able to execute certain task, and so you program them, and what you end up doing, and they actually have, this is where you have them running whole companies and being actual employees at this company or a company. They have manager agents, and then they have employee agents under that manager. And so some agents have some very specific tasks, and they are set out to do those, and then you have one agent running and overseeing all the other agents' tasks that are being executed. And it's gotten to the point where these manager agents on their own have started having stand-ups and productivity increase meetings, and they're really seemingly taking off, as you mentioned, fully autonomous on their own.
Yeah. I even saw that they had a subreddit that they started, and so there they are talking on the internet to each other, and sometimes talking a little smack about their humans. God only knows at what point they'll share information, because they have credit card information, bank information, which seems to me a little risky.
Yeah, well, that's the one big thing with OpenClaw. It is open source, and a lot of people are debating on how to actually share the information. How much should you be giving it? So bots and agents, you talk about like nomenclature. Bots and agents are kind of the same, interchangeable.
This is the agents they're talking about doing are more autonomous, I suppose, but they're meaning they can act independently, as opposed to a bot that sort of is more direct and follows directions. So the term agent has been around for a little bit, but what's new about this particular moment?
It's the memory. It's the ability for them to execute multi-stage task. So, and also where the information is coming from. So previously, there were agents to execute very simple tasks. Now they're using a lot more memory to build into these agents, so that way they can execute very deep multitask systems or tasks, and they can also execute deep thinking. They weren't very, thoughtful, and they were mostly, if you think about the old agents, they were really like a glorified Google, right?
The old agents from last year. Yeah.
Yeah. But like if you think about like the chatbot, right? Like you'd go on to the website and they're like, hi, like maybe it was, whatever.
It had a limited range, then you had to ask for a human if you got anything out of that range.
And right, exactly.
Well, it's a fascinating subject, and it looks like we're just scratching the surface with it, although they've been working on it for a little bit of time now. But now let's talk about those human-like agents, those 3D holograms that we saw earlier. These holograms, I got a chance to see them up close at the Super Bowl Experience, an event for fans a few days before the game. People got to take an AI photo. And then they asked the agent questions, which were answered almost in real time. A slight pause.
I was wondering if you could help me and tell me how many Super Bowls do the 49ers have and how many did they win?
Sure thing. The San Francisco 49 ERS have won 5 Super Bowls, becoming the first team in the league to reach that mark.
This company is called LiveX AI. They're backed by Google Cloud and NVIDIA, so some heavyweight investment money. I had a chance to talk to the co-founder and president of LiveX AI, Jia Li, about what all this means.
Yeah, this is the world's first human-like AI agent that is helping the fans to engage, take selfie, to share with their family, friends, and also wayfinding and product recommendation, all these goal-oriented actions that agent can take. Most of the avatar out there are gimmick. Here, we're bringing the physical AI agent that can not only converse, but also take actions like, hey, take a selfie for you automatically without human intervene here.
So I had a chance to interact with this thing. It is pretty impressive on how it can talk to you. There is a slight pause, a slight delay, but then it comes back with an answer. It's not just a chatbot. And they say it can talk in a whole bunch of different languages. So it's the next step here. And it did make mistakes, but people seemed forgiving enough. Like they're like, okay, it's new technology, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. It's one of the only, if not the first, tool I've seen that actually combines a holographic, more interactive feeling type of digital twin agent. There are other digital twin agents on the market that I've seen that are 2D. So you're using your screen, they're on a computer, maybe they're on a TV. But the hologram and bringing them to life, that's a whole new level that I hadn't seen before. And I think it's quite interesting and opens up an array of possibilities.
Right. I mean, it's the beginning of it. I feel like we've seen this movie before. Literally, we've seen holograms in movies. And so you're expecting that level of magic. But really, right now, this is the cutting edge. And it is interesting that this has come to life. But yeah, as you said, it's in its rudimentary form. At a museum, they're going to have it at other sports events and other sorts of events where maybe a historical figure comes to life. But I talked to the founder, Jia Li, about what it will be used for in the future.
We are starting with sports events. We are starting with shopping malls, retail stores, those places with the crowd of people who needs the most support, the most help with. But in the future, literally, it can be anywhere that in the physical world or on the internet, on the mobile, connecting that online and physical world experience.
So I really feel that the future of AI and tech, and especially with this like hologram type technology that they've utilized, you're really looking at how everything integrates together. It should be something that adds to your life, makes your life a little easier and maybe more fun. So I really love the idea of this product being used where I can be out shopping and I use my digital twin and I fling it onto a screen that's in the store and I can try on the clothes on that digital twin and get an idea of how they would look on me before I decide to actually go through the process of
yes, without having to try them on. You don't have to actually go through the trouble of trying them on.
Or even like putting the outfits together, almost like the stylist that pulls the clothes off the physical rack right now. Instead of that, they're doing that on the digital screen, but there's still a physical person you're interacting with, right? And that's where I think a lot of people skip into the like all digital, like it's like we go from 0 to 100. I think a lot of people have this thought about this technology as it's coming out and what the future looks like. people are like, okay, we're here today in this very physical world where people are performing these jobs. And if we have AI come in, you're going to now negate all of these jobs. And I don't see it that way. I don't think it's true. I think you're going to augment and actually, I hope, this is my hope, right? We'll see when it happens, but that it actually all becomes better. And you get more of a hands-on concierge touch, and you're able to have your person focus more on that type of customer service.
Well, as it is now, a lot of stores, they've cut their personnel. So if you wanted to ask somebody where something is, or you wanted to have them help you try something on, I mean, there's fewer people there to help you as it is. So, I mean, there is that. But I did wonder about, are people going to be out of work? And that is on the minds of a lot of people. And in fact, I had a chance to talk to some folks who are trying out this particular LiveX AI hologram, and let's hear what they had to say.
Open the map.
Sure thing.
I think it's cool. Just looking at the AI model and looking at how they captured this guy's, he's physically moving. He brought out a map. He was very helpful. It looks like an actual person standing in the box. It's, if you take a look back at what the models would have produced 10 years ago, it would have been cardboard and robotic and not very lifelike. You could see this guy's dimples and forehead crinkles and all that. So it's been improved quite a bit over the years.
You could see this in a store. It might help you find clothes or an area.
We're working some magic.
Make us lazy, huh?
Our creative engine is enhancing every.
So when you hear AI,
It scares me for the future, because we're all right, but the future scares me for them. I am so much worried about jobs. I'm basically teaching my children how to agriculture, how to farm again, because you never know, man. You never know, man.
some people are worried about jobs right now. They're worried that this sort of thing could take their jobs away.
So first, the physical AI agent is needed to expand our human capability. No one wants to be here mid of the night guiding people or telling them where to find food. No one is here 24/7 to take selfie to celebrating others' moments. And with the physical AI agent, we can expand our human capability. And just like when computers are created, some of the folks were worried are we going to be replaced by computers? No, in fact, it creates much more jobs than ever before.
So essentially, she's saying that, well, no one wants to do that kind of job anyway, so the robots are not taking the kind of job you would want. That's an interesting point. I think a lot of people out here in the real world are racked with anxiety about the possibility of jobs being taken because they've been told that's going to be the case. I mean, there have been layoffs recently where corporations have said it's because of AI, but it's not clear whether they were going to just clear the tables anyway. So I think a lot of this, it's still not clear whether, what we're looking at is cutting edge stuff. A lot of this stuff isn't online yet, so it's, it's not in the stores. We actually don't see holograms yet in our real lives, or these agents that can be your assistants are not predominant. So at this point, it's still a work in progress, but it's a real anxiety.
As someone who comes from outside Silicon Valley, I grew up in Florida, so I do kind of want to challenge her positioning there that these are jobs that no one wants. Maybe the Stanford grad in the Valley doesn't want that job, but someone in Arkansas who's trying to provide any sort of support to their family or their day-to-day life, they need the job they can get. So I think it's very understandable to be a real fear for people. You think about the high school job, maybe the fast food job. A lot. We're talking about AI, but AI and robotics go together a lot. And you have a lot of robotics systems that are being created that can do these repetitive tasks behind a counter.
Yeah, what we're seeing is cutting edge. We're seeing the very latest, and it has not largely been implemented anywhere outside of this test laboratory that is the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah.
But it's certainly, a harbinger of things to come. Like this company says they've been contacted by a retailer. They're making a deal that they could be in some stores that they haven't announced yet. So it could be on its way, and all the more reason people need to participate in this conversation with their leaders, with their communities, and so that we have a say, I guess, collectively as the humans who are still in charge. as to what our future might be.
Yeah, I think sum it up, TLDR, you're still early.
It's still early, but man, it's moving so fast. Well, Tess Robinson, thank you very much. And we thank all of our listeners and viewers for tuning in. The podcast is called Answering AI. It seems like every time we come up with so many more questions than answers, but we won't stop asking the questions. See you next time.